Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Survivor podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Bird, along with my co-hosts, Jordan Heffler and Ryan Winthrop. And tonight we have a special guest from season 39 of Survivor to help us recap the episode, Elaine Stott. How are you doing, Elaine?
What's up, everybody? I'm good. They call me the biscuit these days, so
There we go.
I'm doing good though.
Thank you for coming on.
The biscuit.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so we'll get right to it. Pretty simple episode that ended very interesting ending, I have to say.
Yeah.
But we'll go in a chronological order, recapping to start it off. So the episode opens up. We have Amber, and obviously she had last episode gifted the fire token to Rob, which obviously we knew was going to happen. And then it pans back, and Rob is like he realized right away that Amber was the one voted out, and he ended up getting the fire token, and he told Parvati right away. Ryan, what were your thoughts on this whole thing? Do you think that this helps Rob going forward, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this does help Rob because he's trying to build trust with his allies. I know, Elaine, actually, we were talking to the guys before this podcast started, and when you got your block of vote advantage when you took out Jason, you told your alliance right away as a way to build trust. So I do think that Rob telling Parvati was a good move to try to show Parvati, I really trust you in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I second that motion. So
Yeah.
it was smart. He knew the minute he got that token that his old lady was gone. And I think that actually messed him up in the challenge. He kind of seemed a little befuddled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like the man when it comes to puzzles, and he was just stumbling I don't know. I think it messed him up knowing that old Amber was sent to edge of extinction. But yeah, it builds trust when you share information like that, because information is key out there. And if you can share it with somebody, then it does kind of bond you together with them. The only problem is the old school and new school against each other. Like, I wouldn't trust Poverty as far as I could throw her, but
Right.
I guess that he'll find that out sooner or later on whether or not that's going to work out in the long run.
Yeah. But then another thing we want to talk to you about. So all these advantages that are in the game so early. What, like Denise, where she goes off with Ben, they find the idol, and then next thing you know, Kim finds the idol in the other tribe. Plus Sandra has the idol from the last episode. What do you think about all these advantages that are in the game so early? And do you think that advantages are going to keep piling up, or do you think there's going to be just like a little bit of a break from that, just because there's so many? It's hard to have so much at once.
Yeah, you might end up with one of them tribals. Where was it? Sari was the only one that didn't have anything. And
Too soon, Elaine. Too soon.
Yeah, you might end up at a tribal council where everybody's got one. Then what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm personally a fan of old school Survivor. I like the less idols kind of thing, just because it goes to my character and who I am. Like, I'd rather just play a loyal game and just be straightforward. But that's not the direction in which the show has went, and now it's like everybody's idol crazy. But I really think that it's just they're going to keep piling up, and it's going to make for an epic season having all that. And see, the key to all of it is like Sandra, nobody knows she has it. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows who gets their fire token, who's passing it on, and like we'll get to it, but when Denise slipped that on the ground, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows she has that other than Adam and Ben, and that's going to be huge moving forward. Nobody knowing what advantage you have, that's going to be major.
Absolutely, for sure.
And one thing with the advantages, especially with the idol, is that there are the two halves of it, so it's not as powerful per se as normal. So like you have to share that information with somebody in order to have to use it. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that puts another little crinkle into it, because that's like when Kim gave Sophie her half, and then immediately they show Sophie doing that confession where it's like, yo, Kim shouldn't have trusted me. You know what I mean? Like, and see, that's another aspect of the game. I literally think that the fire token situation is going to be something that's they're going to carry into seasons to come. You know what I'm saying? Because I really think it puts a good twist on it, and it really makes it more like social currency in a coin. You know what I mean? Like, I could have used that in my season where I was so likable, and they're like, yo, you need to go. Like, maybe I could have got token after token after token. But yeah, they didn't do that shit on Island of the Idols. So
Yeah, and I think, Elaine, you actually hit the nail right on the head when you mentioned Parvati earlier in this call. Like, I think Adam had a great episode. I think it was a close call for Denise almost giving the idol to Parvati. I would never give Parvati any idols. So yeah, I think Adam did a good job talking her off the ledge and convincing her to give it to him. So
Yeah, that would have been a huge mistake.
mhm.
And Denise's part. What season was she on? Like, what number of season is she considered old school or new school?
So she was on Philippines, which is 25. So she's like right on the border of
Yeah,
like old
yeah.
school, new school.
Well, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, so she can work it from both angles. You know what I mean? Like she can go to Rob and them and be on that side, but also because she has such a strong allegiance to Adam now, and now Ben's on her side or whatever. Like she can work that from both sides. But I think that would have been a major mistake if she would have given it to Poverty. So I think Adam did a great job. Yeah, Adam's playing a good game right now. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He saved Denise's butt. I was telling Dylan during the episode that if Denise gave the other half to Parvati, I think that Parvati and Rob would have cut her off that exact episode. I don't think Denise would have made it to council.
That's kind of like how Sarah done what's her name, Sierra, right?
Exactly.
As soon as she talked about the legacy thing, it was like, okay, she's got to go. Yeah, that's another aspect of it. It is like you really gotta go with your gut, go with who you trust, and yeah, thank God she had Adam whispering in her ear sweet nothings, because she might have been in deep doo doo if that if that would have happened. I don't know. It would have been interesting to see what Poverty and them done with that info though.
Yeah. And then the other advantage that we haven't even mentioned yet is when Natalie found leave tribal before votes are cast advantage and gave it to Jeremy. Kind of a interesting. Has that how many times has that advantage been on before? Is that a new thing, or
is it once? Did they do it once, or is that no? You can kick a jury member out, right? Oh no, wait, that was done once before.
Yeah, I think actually, Elaine, I need to look it up, but someone on your season went to Island of the Idols, and Rob and Sandra. I can't remember if it was Jamal or whether it was Lauren. Basically, somebody went to Island of the Idols, and if they won the challenge, they got a choice of 3 different advantages, and one of the choices was this safety to leave tribal vote, but they didn't pick it, so we haven't seen it play out yet.
What was that? Janet didn't. Janet,
yeah, I think it was Janet.
He turned it down, which I thought was foolish. She turned it down, and if she would have, if she'd have tucked that in her pocket way back when, come the end of the game, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like she chose not to because she wanted people to trust her, but if she was giving off the older lady, nice, not really lying vibe anyway. So if she was smart, she would have done it and then lied about it and then kept it to herself and carried that all the way to whenever she felt uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And it might have saved her, but she felt comfortable, and that was her downfall anyway. So who knows if she'd have done it, whether that had played out. But yeah, I went outside whenever Natalie got that. So did she find it on Edge of Extinction? And then I hate the B word. Who came up with that bequeath?
Bequeath.
Yeah. Who came up with this shit? Like they need to. But anyway, so she gave it. So she sent it to Jeremy on the main island, and that's how he ended up with it. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, and it was just 1 fire token, like it was for Sandra, so he bought it.
Oh yeah. Like, and somebody had asked me. I'd done Rob Sesternino's podcast, and somebody had said, like, what happens if you're in the minority, and they asked you to pull your tokens together, and like say Sandra, where she had already spent hers, and they were like, well, what would happen, because then she would be found out. And my thing is like Sandra's a savvy enough player that if that came up, she's not just going to out herself. She would try to figure out a way around that, or come up with a plan B, or for my season, plan Z. But same thing with Jeremy. Like he did the right thing in the moment by doing that. You know what I'm saying? And spending that token, because you can't plan for shoulda, coulda, woulda things. Like you need to plan for right now, and that's what the man's doing. So I thought it was a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the gameplay is just so fast that like you gotta just plan as if like anything could happen in any tribal. You never know. So definitely smart to spend the 1 token, especially when you could possibly get another one whenever somebody gets voted out if you have a good enough relationship. But moving on from the advantages, I think what the best scene in this whole episode was Tony climbing up on the made up ladder.
Oh, that's a redneck ladder if I've ever seen one, boy. He made a redneck ladder for sure. That's crazy. A ladder of chaos, as Karishma would call it.
Mhm.
It worked.
That's nuts, dude. That's nuts.
Yeah, Jordan's like he's the biggest Tony fan I've ever seen. So I'm sure he
Listen,
was.
Tony's
I
great
was
TV.
like half.
He's great TV. Go
It was
ahead. I'm
awesome.
sorry.
It was incredible. Have you gotten to meet Tony ever?
No, I've not met him yet, but I'm hoping I'm gonna go to the finale in May, so hopefully I'll get to see him there. There's a lot of people I haven't met. You know, this is my first go around. I'm a rookie, so it's like I've meet people here and there, but I've met Ben and Adam, and I got to meet Penner and some old school players, and you know Rob and Sandra was on my season. But no, I'd like to meet Tony. Tony's a nut. Boy, I need some of that energy he got.
Yeah, seriously, you could give some to pretty much everyone else in the world, and you have enough still.
Yeah, for sure.
What would so being with Rob and Sandra on Islands of the Idols? What was your whole thought when that whole thing went down in the first episode where they didn't tell each other they were going to be on the season? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you know, when it first happened, I was thinking about it and I was like, yo, they made this up. Like they come up with this because they are so intertwined throughout the history of the show that you'd be a fool not to think that they had something. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, well, maybe they were coming up with this little side thing saying, oh, he didn't tell me and this and this. But after
Oh, I like
talking to
the
Rob,
thing.
says, you know, I don't know. I think he might be right. I think Rob probably did keep it to himself, and he's got himself a bit in a jam because now Sandra's mad, and you don't want Sandra mad at you. I can just tell you that.
Yeah.
They were mad at me. Her and Rob both were mad at me, and I was like, "No, Sandra, don't be mad. I'm sorry." But yeah, I didn't want to be on the end of that wrath, you know.
I like that theory though, Elaine, because I was saying to Dylan and Ryan, why wouldn't Rob tell Sandra that he's going to be on this season? They could have had a really good thing going. They could have used each other as shields, could have formed a tight alliance. So I actually
Well,
do
that's
like that angle that maybe they were kind of being sneaky about it.
yeah. See, that's what I thought when I first heard it. And she's like, "Rob didn't tell me," and I was like, "Yo, that can't be true. Like they're coming up with some next level, you know, I'm mad at you kind of thing, just so it throws people off the scent." And but like I said, I did a podcast with Rob last week, and he kind of talked me out of it. I seen what he was saying, and he's like, "Yo, if that was true, Sandra probably would have said something about it in her confessionals and stuff." Or you know they've been doing publicity for 40 and she would have mentioned something about it, you know, like kind of like Tyson where he said he started spreading lies on the plane over. So after the fact, why wouldn't she tell the truth if that was the case? And I can see his point. So now I'm starting to think, well, maybe he didn't tell her. And it actually does them a favor, though. It does them a favor in the sense that if people think they're butting heads against each other, it helps them, you know. So we'll
Yeah.
see. It'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see what happens.
yeah, it should definitely if they both, I guess, end up on the same tribe in a tribe swap or both make the merge. But to move on, and then so Tony obviously is going to get a lot of airtime, but after that whole ladder scene, he was right back with Sarah in the Cops Are Us alliance. So I was definitely happy to see that. Definitely a big throwback to season 28 with that. So we'll see if Tony and Sarah stay true to each other this time.
Well, see, that's the first thing I thought when I seen the two of them was on a tribe together. It's like, yeah, I know they played and Sarah went home in that duo, but you know, they still have that history together of playing together. So like when they were talking about the couples, like, you know, Jeremy and Natalie were a couple, Rob and Amber were a couple, and this and this, when they were talking about all these couples, like nobody said Sarah and Tony, which surprised me because they had a rapport. You know what I mean? Like they had a connection the first go around, and so I was surprised that they're not on anybody's radar, so to speak. I was surprised by that. But yeah, he went straight back to his girl, started doing old school things like he did before. You know what I mean? I'm here for it though. I think that Tony's a nut, dude. Like I'd
Yeah.
like to build me a spy shack and be on the island. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, I
Love
agree.
to watch it
I
go
love
down.
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Tony's doing a great job. I think you're right, Elaine. He's definitely being more chill, more calm this time because he knows in Game Changers it got him sent out second. But he's staying around camp. He's being the goofball. He's showing his true colors. I think people are liking what they see about Tony, and they know he doesn't have an idol, so they can trust him more. And I mean, look, first he was building spy shacks, then he was building spy bunkers. Now he's a ladder. He's building spy tree houses. So I'm excited for his Tony 3.0.
Dude, I would not be surprised in another couple episodes if he wasn't sitting in the top of one of them palm trees, like above the well or something, just posted up like a deer stand. You know what I mean? I could just see Tony doing that, and I would love to see that happen. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like we mentioned before, moving on to the immunity challenge. As Ryan noted, that this is a challenge that had been actually played in the past. Ryan's like the Survivor history book. He just remembers every single thing.
Really?
So Ryan remembered that this was apparently the same exact challenge as the first immunity challenge in Cagayan, which is Tony and Sarah, which is pretty cool. And I really thought that Rob and Denise were going to come back and win that puzzle. And they just, I think they panicked and thought it was just way harder than it was. So they probably just thought that they were thinking ahead, and the next thing they know, boom.
Yeah, no, I swear, dude. I think his old lady getting voted off messed him up. You know what I mean? Like when his woman went home, he's like, dang, he got all bamboozled, as Richard Hatch would say.
Yeah.
Like he was all befuddled. I think he just couldn't. And then you got Tony over there clapping and carrying on. And when you're in a challenge, it's funny because I never thought of it before. Like when I watch stuff on TV and I would see Jeff on TV and he's screaming and yelling and this and this. Like I never hardly heard him at all during challenges.
Really?
Like I just zoned out. I hardly heard him at all. So I don't know if Tony clapping and carrying on like affected Rob, so to speak, but it was pretty funny watching him do it though. I know that. But yeah, Rob they just blowed that man big time.
That's crazy to hear you say that, Elaine, because I think that if I was doing a challenge and I hear Jeff screaming in my ear, I'm thinking like, shut the hell up, man. I'm trying to save my entire tribe on this. I'm shocked you can zone him out that easily.
Yeah, well, there was a few challenges and I can remember the challenge where you roll the ball and you land it. I made one ball. I didn't make two of them, but Missy made two balls. Well, she had made a couple throws at it. And she actually took the ball and threw one that went under the table into the woods. And Jeff said, Missy throws it in the woods. And she told Jeff to calm down, or I don't remember what it was she said to him. And Jeff had something real quick and real witty to say back to her. So there were a few times when because he's like, Missy, this, and there were a few times when people got rattled or whatever. But me personally, I never did hardly hear them. I don't know if I was just, I don't know. When all this jelly starts shaking, I can't hear shit, apparently.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually saw after last episode, Dalton Ross has been posting like the videos on Twitter of like, because he was out there for the filming, and he actually posted a video from the first immunity challenge. It's very weird to watch it when there's no like music in the background, and like the only thing you could hear is like Jeff's voice, but everyone's just like, it's just like it's such a different viewing experience when you see it from that perspective. So it is interesting that you say that.
Yeah, it's totally different. And you guys don't see it, but there's 100 cameras, like literally like 100 cameras all the way the length of the challenge, all on one side. And like when you're in the water, there's boats all around you, and there's 100 people watching you do whatever you're doing. And if you allow that to affect, I could see how it would like affect players and performance and you know what I mean, like get nervous and whatever. But I wasn't never very good at any of that crap anyway, so it didn't bother me none. I mean, I did good with the redneck game, the one I did go with that one. But yeah, I can see how that would affect you. But for me, I just tuned it all out, and it didn't bother me for some reason.
Yeah, definitely interesting to hear. I would probably not be able to tune it out as easy as you did, but to move on to the strategy portion right after Tribal. So I think the whole big storyline of this whole after Tribal Council, like after the challenge, the big storyline is like going into the season. A lot of people expected like a bunch of huge threats to be voted at first because the gameplay was going to be so top notch. Nobody really expected a slip up like Danny had, so that was definitely pretty something, just a major unexpected thing right off the bat today. And I think that any time that somebody does something along the lines of what Danny did tonight, it's just an excuse for everybody else to just say, all right, I'm here tonight and I'm safe. Like they're just going to
Yeah.
resort right to that right away.
Yeah, she had a no-brainer basically is where it's kind of like Dean when he's like, yo, let's split the votes right in front of Charisma, who was the other split, you know? Yeah, it's a total mistake. And where she was kind of feeling a little antsy and not feeling that Poverty hadn't talked to her, and she got a little paranoid. So she started having a few conversations, which kind of made her look worse. And then when she made that slip, that was like super. I still think it was a mistake though to go for Danny. Man, I would have shot for Robert Poverty if it was me. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
It
go ahead,
like
Jordan.
what are they thinking? How can you not go for Robert Parvati? And how could they not go for Sandra last episode? The three biggest threats in the game.
yeah. Well, I think Edge, because the battle back comp, I think that they're. I don't want to say they're kind of holding and waiting, holding their cards. But I would think that that's what they're doing. It's like, all right, we're gonna vote Danny out, the new school. We're gonna vote Danny out because technically it's taking one of their people away. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I voted Chelsea out. I didn't want to vote. I didn't want to vote out Chelsea, but I had just found out they were in a 5-person alliance, and Missy and Aaron and Elizabeth, Dean, and Chelsea were in alliance, and Missy and them was wanting to take out one of their own people. You see what I'm saying? So I got on board with it because it wasn't me or like Tom or some of my people. And I was like, all right, well, if they want to cut the throat of one of their own, then okay. Even though I thought it was a mistake, I still done it. So I think in a sense, like that's kind of what they done. It's like it gives makes Rob and them think that they're getting what they want by getting rid of Danny because she's so back and forth wishy-washy. But on the next turn, the next go around, like they're up. Like new school's got them. You know what I'm saying? Like new school has old school. So it would be easy to pick them off from then. So it's just kind of like keeping the peace for now. But I still don't know why you wouldn't take a shot. Like, I would take a shot. Just like go big or go home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so, but they're playing for 2 million. So it's like, man, they're trying to be super smart about their decisions and they don't want to make rash decisions. And let's say you kick Rob or Poverty and you send them to the edge and they give whoever, I don't know. It's just so many things can go wrong by getting rid of them. I think they're just playing it safe for right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's all winners, so you have to go big or go home. So I think Rob is a good move to go for, but I think Danny is a safer move because Rob can help you win challenges. It's less likely that Danny has an idol than Rob has an idol. And now that you went up in the numbers, you can just take him out next week with no problem. At least Danny's a safer vote for the whole tribe. So I see your point there. And I do agree. I think that Danny did mess up in terms of talking too much and trying to overplay. But I do think this comes back to alliance maintenance and just like maintaining your relationships because I do put some blame, Elaine, on Parvati, Rob, and Ethan for not keeping her closer and letting her slip away like that. It kind of reminds me of when Missy got voted out at the split tribal, where you go to Karishma and you go to Tommy and you say, look, I feel like I'm on the bottom. So I feel like alliances need to do a better job, and I expect winners to be better at this, to maintaining their alliances, not letting people feel like they're on the bottom.
Yeah, I think they thought that, Danny's like way old school. She hasn't played in a New York minute. So I think they thought just by doing those few conversations with her that she was going to be good. You know what I mean? And that just wasn't the case. The not talking and this, that, and the other. Listen, the paranoia, like it will get you. I'm telling you, like y'all don't see it. It's even more crazy like when you're there than what you actually see on TV. And so I can see how she got paranoid by people not talking to her because I felt that in my first few days. It's like, yo, I'm not really, they're going off and doing strategy talk and they ain't asking me to go. So like that made me think. And me and Chelsea have this argument all the time. I asked Chelsea to go get wood with me one time. She called, I call it him hawing. She kind of him hauled around. She's like, and she done it on, and I asked her, I waited a few minutes and I asked her again and she done it again. And from that one little thing, when Missy throwed her name out, I was like, yo, remember how she him hauled the other day? Like and I just found out about this lion. So I was like, yo, this girl's got to go. So the paranoia can get you, and that mouth can get you in trouble faster than anything. And I just think that Rob and them, which I don't know why they found her so expendable. You know what I'm saying? Like Like, I don't know where they're thinking their game's going after Danny's gone as far as numbers are concerned. I don't, which Rob and them are super smart, and maybe they're seeing something I'm not. But to me, it was stupid for them to get rid of Danny. They should have pushed for Ben or something because that kept one of their people. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
So I think a thing that has been like, I'm not gonna say shocking, but just like I didn't like think about it preseason is like how confident Rob comes off, and he's just like every single move he makes, he's so sure of himself, and you could see that a lot of the new school players are so they're so like they're like kind of afraid of him, and they like he says something. I think that he just pretty much feels like no matter what the numbers are, the game's gonna be changing so fast that they can maneuver something. But and you even saw at the tribal council when he's like everybody pick up your bags and turn them upside down, and
everybody flipped
like,
their bag. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
But dude, that's crazy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
yeah, no,
I can't believe
I was gonna ask you what you would have done if you were in Denise's situation tonight, where
I would have done the same thing. But you know how you flip your bag up if you hold the bottom. You know what I mean? Like you pick it up from the bottom, like, and instead of just having your bag like this, when you grab it by the bottom, you squeeze it. So if you had your idol in the bottom of it and you squeeze it and you flip it up, kind of like holding on to it, you could have done it that way too. But she done it good. Like she held on to it. I would have flipped my bag out because if you choose not to flip your bag out, you're guilty. You know what I mean? If you choose, and that's what I'm saying. Like everybody, because they are so scared of him, because he called them out, and because all his old school people who knew they didn't have one got up and done it. Like you can't be the one person sitting down, be like, I'm not doing that. I don't think that's right. Then they'd be like, oh, you got it. Even if you didn't have it, like you just put a target on your back, so you have to flip your bag out. But she's smart, but see me, I just slip stuff in that old redneck pocket and be like, you get this out of here. Yeah, they made a mistake by putting it in their bag. You put it in your redneck pocket.
I'm learning so much from you, Elaine. Redneck pocket, hee-hawing, New York minute.
Oh, it's called him hawing.
Him? What I say? Hee-haw?
Yeah, you say hee haw like you on like hee haw, you know.
Him haw.
Yeah, him haw. It's kind of like you poke around, you him haw. You know, you piddling, you know. It's
Okay.
stalling. You're stalling.
Back to the tribal though. Like you were saying, people that aren't going to flip their bag are going to have a target on their back. I'm shocked that nobody caught on to Adam, who was pretty much arguing with Rob. Why should I have to prove I don't have an idol? I mean, nobody was questioning him. He was the one that obviously had the idol. How did nobody pick up on the fact that he was being defensive and trying to hide something?
Well, I think because he did flip his bag. Now, if he'd have said those same words and he didn't flip it, then the target would have been on him. But
True.
because he did flip his bag, but he was trying to say, hey, why are we having to do this? I shouldn't have to prove whatever. You know, Rob immediately said, do you have the idol? You know, and he's like, no, I ain't got it. I flipped my bag open. So, yeah, I see why you would say that, but because he flipped his bag out, I think that's the only reason why it didn't get more attention than it did. But because everybody's so worried about shaking their bags out, you know, this, that, and the other, they totally missed Denise putting that off to the side and then putting it back in, you know?
She's wicked smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked smart. Yeah. Yeah, wicked smart. That was a good job, though.
Yeah, I also, another thing that I want to bring up from Tribal is I think that like Ben was just like all over the place. When Rob had whispered into Jeremy's ear, I was like, oh, are they gonna try to flip on Ben now? And Rob like has it out for Ben. I feel like Ben, there's gonna be something that's gonna end in some type of way eventually. But Ben's gotta like be careful because he said some things over the last 2 episodes, and I was like, oh wow.
Dude, he's like a little kid. Every time he gets around Rob, he starts stumbling and bumbling. I'm gonna have to message my boy Ben and ask him what's going on because he's nervous. You know, every time Rob starts, like, it's like when your dad comes in the room, you're like, you know what I mean? Like you just straighten up. You know what I'm saying? Like Ben just starts snitching on everybody. You know, like. Yeah, he almost shot himself in the foot running that mouth too much and talking too much, but what he was saying was true. But see, that's what's so great about Rob's game is when you start doing that to Rob, then Rob starts pointing fingers and saying, "Hey, what about this?" And hey, and people listen to Rob when he speaks. Whereas if you're a new school person like my boy Nick, like he didn't get much airtime tonight, but I'm sure that whenever he comes up with an idea, it's not going to go over as well as, say, like if Tony's coming up with an idea. It's just perception, and people perceive to be Rob as as an idol, and Ben's just some redneck from Iowa, or where, it's weird how that happens. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something that I also think that Rob, they haven't mentioned this at all, but I have it like in the back of my mind, is that Rob and Jeremy do have like a prior relationship. Not from any season, but I know that they like, was Jeremy part of the poker thing or no?
Yeah, he was in the
Right.
poker.
Right. So like when Rob whispered in Jeremy's ear, I think it's possible that they may be talking more than the camera's showing. So maybe Rob feels like down the road he could possibly sway Jeremy over to their side. That's just something that's always been in the back of my mind in terms of just numbers, old school and new school.
Well, I think Jeremy he has that philosophy kind of like Dean does, like the meat shield philosophy, doesn't he? Doesn't he pack that in his? So, if you think about their tribe and you get rid of Rob and Parvati, like who you got left on that tribe that's like a big target? Jeremy, right? Like Jeremy's a big dude. He's strong, physical in competitions. Like he's super smart. You know what I mean? Like, so I think in his mind, and probably a few of the others, like in their mind, keeping Rob around, that's what I try to pitch. It's like, keep me around because I'm a target. They're coming after me. Keep me. That way it guarantees that you're getting like if we go to the next tribal, I'm on the block, not you. So I try to pitch that when I went home. And if they would have listened to me, who knows how the game would have went. You know what I'm saying? But I think maybe he might have a little bit of that. He might be thinking a little bit of that, keeping Rob around is a little bit beneficial because people's always going to come after Rob.
Yeah, Jeremy was one of like the first people to like have that strategy in his season where he kept Joe around as long as he could. He kept Wentworth around pretty much until she could go, and that he ended up winning. So I definitely think he definitely has that in the back of his mind also.
No, that's a good strategy though. See, for me, I could never figure out. Nobody wanted to sit next to me, so I could never figure out like how to sell myself to get myself to the end. I just, it's like I had to pull a bin and win her out. You know what I mean? And it just, I'm bust a can of biscuits. It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I couldn't
You
pull
won
it
one,
out.
Elaine. You won a challenge.
I did. I won one, and I was actually really close on a few others.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it just wasn't in the cards. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't blame nobody but myself. It just wasn't meant to happen. But if you have that target like a Joe, like Joe would have to win every single immunity to make it to the end because nobody's taking him. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what I had on my season is like once it got down, it's like I would have had to win every single thing in order to get to the end. And that's a hard road to hoe right there. You know what I mean? So.
What do you say? A long road to hoe?
Lord, boys, you got to get you one of them country dictionaries.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a long road to hoe.
To hoe, okay.
You ever work in a garden?
I do some yard work in my house.
Well, like a big garden, like plant corn, plant green beans, you plant cabbage.
I wish.
Anyway,
he's from Philly. I'm from New York, and Ryan's from New York, so we're not not
I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, when you're in the country and you plant a garden, you gotta hoe the rows. You gotta hoe it, with a hoe and get all the weeds out, this, that, and the other. What you hate is when you got to do a long row. You know what I'm saying? That's a bitch. I like them short rows because it's not as much work. It's not as much work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just a country term. Y'all gonna teach y'all a few. By the time it's over, y'all gonna be saying things like him hawing and
I've learned a
and
lot.
all kinds. Yeah, be using bust a can of biscuits and what was it? Oh, did y'all listen to Rob's sister Nino's podcast?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna listen tomorrow, Elaine.
Yeah, I did not.
There was a question asked that whenever the season first started, I was talking about going to competition, and I said, don't let me forget my drawers when we go to this comp, or I'm gonna be blank in the free world. And so like there was all this debate on what it was I said, and everybody was, what did Elaine say? And he actually posted the thing. He's like, yo, ask questions, you want me to ask Elaine? And that was one of the questions. And I you know what I said? I said, don't let me forget my drawers, because if you do, I'll be free lipping in the free world. And they like to die, dude. And they had never heard that before. And I was like, you never heard that? And they're like, no, like what in the world? I said, well, I'm a girl, not a boy, so I'll be free lipping. And they was like, holy shit, you're nuts.
I love it.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I was telling Rob, like, I burn couches in the front yard and have bonfires, and I do whatever the hell I want up on the hill, basically, living out in the sticks. And I mow my grass in my drawers if I feel like it. And I don't recommend it, because when you come inside to get a drink of water and you walk back out, you burn your ass on on that hot ass seat. You know what I'm saying? But I live out in the middle of nowhere. I live out in the middle of the country, and I don't have any neighbors. I live on a 100-acre farm. I don't have anybody that lives beside of me, so it's not like anybody can see up here. So I go outside naked all the time or whatever, because it's not when the kids are around or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But when I was by myself, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And Rob just couldn't wrap his head around it. He was like, "What the world?" So,
Oh, Rob.
There's nothing better than being home alone and walking around naked.
yeah. Well, my old lady, she just moved in back in the summer. She had her own place, and when I came back from Survivor, we rented her place out, and she moved in with me. So I've been living by myself for years, and literally by myself. So now that she's moved in, I can't do some of those things with the youngins running around. But back in the day when I was a bachelor, I'd do whatever I want.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's pretty fun living in the country, and it's a totally different experience. And that's what I was telling Rob. I was like, yo, you can come to my house and we'll burn a couch and drink a beer and party rock all night, so I'm sorry, I get sidetracked. You gotta loop me back in. I'll talk all
No,
night
I'm having a
about stuff.
blast.
Yeah, I love to hear this stuff. But before we wrap up, how do you think things are going to play out from here? What do you think is going to happen in the coming episodes? Any predictions you have?
Man, I think it's gonna be. It all depends on like when it is they're gonna have people from the Edge come back, because if they have them come back earlier, then they'll probably go a couple more episodes and then a comp to come back in, or like if they're gonna do it later or do it twice, or you know what I mean. Like, so those are all things that I'm curious to see will happen. If it's the first one, if it's where they have them come back soon, the people that go to the Edge the next few times is going to be pretty interesting. And from Rob's tribe, I think that I think the new school people are going to band together, and I think maybe Poverty or Rob might be the next one or two out, if that's how Jeremy choose to go. Because like I said, Jeremy's got that meat shield mentality, so he might not want to cut Rob. And then if they do that, and then in the next couple, it'll be interesting to see if they cut Rob's throat, and then a couple episodes they have the battle back comp and he wins it and comes back. Like, that would be some shit. And then for the other tribe, I honestly think that I think Tyson's in trouble. I think that anybody that wasn't in that, who is it? It's Wendell, Nick, Sophie, Yule. I think the four of them are going to start really like controlling things. I think you got a taste of it the first episode. I think they're going to start controlling it a little bit more, especially, with Sandra. She in the first episode she came and she was like, "Yo, Nick, you're going. Tony, you're going," and then the focus automatically went to Tyson. But I don't necessarily think that she's like in. You know what I mean? I don't know if she's in. So I'm curious to see if she's going to be on the outs. But from the previews I've seen, it seems to me like Tyson and Sandra are going to be pitted against each other. And all that does is solidify Yul and Nick and Wendell and them, because it's like the people on the outs are battling against each other for that next spot. So I don't know, dude. It's going to be so much fun to watch, because I think this season is just going to be epic. And I think like, this one was a little low key or whatever, but I just think they're going to start ramping up from here, especially the more people you get on Edge, and those, that'll be interesting to watch too.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm here for it. It's going to be good.
It'll be next level.
Yeah. Next level, going to the nenext level. It'll be good, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the rest of it. So for sure.
Yeah. It's the twist. And then like, okay, so Danny goes out. She give her coin to, who was it? She give her coin to Denise. So Denise has now got an idol. Plus she has two fire tokens, right?
She's
And
loaded.
then yeah, like she's coming in with the bling, like DK chilling, you know.
DK chilling.
Yeah, so I don't know, dude. It's going to be so much fun. I think Adam and Denise has got a really good grip on the game right now. Ben needs to calm his roll some, though, because he's going to put his foot in his mouth. If he keeps going, because listen, if you can't feel you can depend on somebody and they're kind of wishy-washy, it makes you question their loyalty. And when you start having your loyalty question, it's just a matter of time before you get gone, you know.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion. I'm no expert. I didn't win the damn thing, so it's not like I know what the hell I'm talking about.
You know a lot more than we do, so we appreciate it.
Now, y'all know just as much as I do. I just actually been on the island. You know what I'm saying? But it's fun to set back because, you know, you set back like I'm home now and I'm watching Nick's season, so I'm rooting for him, obviously. But I set back and I think about like, oh, what would I do with this and what would I do with that? And the truth is, you don't know what in the hell you're going to do until you're in the moment. You know, like Ben he probably never would have said that, oh, when Rob talks to me, I'm going to be like, he wouldn't have said he'd have done that shit. You know what I'm saying? But in the moment, he just panicked. You know what I mean? In the moment, he was like a little kid. And that's the thing about Survivor is you have all these opinions and all these ideas and this mindset of, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you get out there and you don't do any of that. You know what I mean? So it's a really interesting game, and it's one that's super fun to play, but also like it'll drive you freaking bonkers for sure. Like drive you nuts, just the paranoia and not knowing who you can trust, and you're hungry, cold, and tired, and like, you know, with me, I had lost my mom and I was super emotional. I didn't know who I could talk to about whatever, and I focused more on the finding me and the adventure of it as Tommy focused on the million. And you know, I still lasted 35 days, but that just makes me think like, man, I wonder if I can go out there and actually focus on the game. Like maybe I can win the damn thing. You know, you never know. I need to get me a core alliance going into it, and I might just take it home. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. But yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different from watching it to playing it. It's totally different.
So to clarify, you're saying you would play again?
Oh hell yeah, I'd go tomorrow. Jeff, you call me if you watch this podcast, Jeffy. You call me and I'll come running. Yeah, I would love to play again. It's I like I said, the first time around it was something I thought of for 20 years and I wanted to do. And when the opportunity come up, there was no way I was passing up, even though I was so emotional and so whatever. There was no way I was passing up. And so when I went out there, I was looking for perspective. You know what I mean? Like once you get to a certain point in your life where you have things that happen to you, it makes you refocus and think about things that you necessarily might not. And what kind of like hanging out with certain people or talking to certain families. Like the only time sometimes I see some of my families is at funerals. And every time we go to the funeral or, you know, some of my friends, I'm like, yo, we got to quit meeting like this and hang out outside of here. But life happens and you get lost and you don't do it. And then you come back together again. So when I went out, it literally had me thinking about things that was way more important than $1 million. And my mindset wasn't right for the actual game of Survivor. You know what I mean? Like it was fun. I had a blast. It was a great adventure. And I did pretty well considering. But like I just wasn't going hard, I guess. It was like I had a hard time lying. I didn't want to lie. And not that I won't do those things again. I might not be able to lie next time either. Because I just don't do it in my life. And it's hard for me because I am a grown ass woman. It's hard for me to change who I am in order to play a game. Now, some people don't have a problem with it, but like, who knows? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go out there. I told Jeff, I said, man, you bring me back, I'm gonna be a freaking villain. He's like, nah. So I don't know. It's yeah. If I could get myself focused and just concentrate on the money and just think of these people as you know, just a stepping stone to get me that check. If I could do that, maybe I can win, but I don't know if I can do it. So we'll see. It'll be fun to try though.
I just submitted my my audition tape today, actually, and my entire thing was about how I'm gonna lie my ass off the entire time.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's the interesting part is because, like, if if you go out there and you're like, yo, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. Well, you could tell the wrong lie, and everybody's like, yo, this dude's a liar. You can't believe nothing he says. And then, like I said, once you got that not trustworthy thing, ain't nobody trying to work with you, ain't whatever. So it could be a double-edged sword,
For sure.
Me, like, next time playing, people should know that I'm pretty loyal. The only reason why I turned on missing them was because they were turning on me. They were never taking me to the end. And I try to tell them the whole game, yo, I'm loyal, I'm with you. And then I find out they're trying to cut my throat. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I would have stuck to them, but they were trying to stab me in the back. So hopefully next time going around, being loyal, get me some cool points with the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Elaine, before we wrap up, the first food you ate at Ponderosa, go.
I ate some fries. I ate a steak, lobster. I drank a beer, drank a Coke, and then I went to the bathroom a whole lot because after you ain't eating nothing, that it just goes right through you. It lasted about 5 minutes. It's terrible, terrible. When you go to Ponderosa, I promise you, you're going to go to the bathroom about 30, 40 times. Yeah, you will. I'm telling you, man, your stomach is so tore up that you just can't deal with it. It's crazy. But yeah, I had a little bit of everything.
Love it.
Good.
Love it. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine.
Thanks, Elaine.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm not the best Survivor player out there, and I'm not very strategical. But like in my season, I wasn't very strategical. But I've been doing a few of these podcasts, and I think I got it down. As long as I go on and just ramble some BS, y'all gonna buy it. So
I think you had some good takes, Elaine. It was good to hear.
yeah, I mean, like I said, like being on the outside looking in, it's a lot easier to talk about what the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or what you think's gonna happen or whatever. But I know, like in the moment, I know as a player in the moment, it's a lot harder to dictate on what's to come next, what's the right move, like because I don't see what so and so is saying or such and such saying. I didn't know they had a conversation. I don't know. You don't know so much that it's really hard to make just the simplest decision. And I find it so much better being on the outside making decisions because I make better decisions on the outside than I do on the inside. That's for sure. But no, it was fun, bro. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hollering at me. It was cool.
Yeah, of course.
Y'all gonna have to tag a biscuit and let me know because and I'll post it or whatever. And
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, we'll tag you.
But you might have to send a few instructions on how to do that because I'm not tech savvy is not my thing. I'll just let you know. I had to get the youngin to show me where my Skype number was. I didn't even know where that shit was. So, but yeah, y'all holler at me. Let me know when it's out.
Well,
Of course.
Have a good night.
All right. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Peace.